That little blue and yellow can sitting in your garage right now could save you hundreds of dollars in repair bills. But here's the thing. Most mechanics will never tell you this, because every time you figure out how to fix something yourself, that's money walking right out of their shop. Today, we're exposing 10 WD-40 tricks that the automotive industry hopes you never find out about. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why a $6 can might be the most powerful tool in your entire garage. Introduction. WD-40 has been around since 1953. It was originally invented to prevent rust on nuclear missiles, but somewhere along the way, everyday drivers started discovering it could do things nobody ever advertised. Things that would normally cost you $150 at a shop. Gone, with a single spray and 2 minutes of your time. Now, before we get into it, understand something. Mechanics are not bad people, but the repair industry in the United States generates over $115 billion a year. And a big part of that business depends on you not knowing what you can fix yourself. So when a shop quotes you $200 just to spray a squeaky hinge or free up a stuck component, they're counting on your ignorance. Today, that changes. These are 10 real, legitimate uses that experienced mechanics and master technicians use behind closed doors, but rarely share with customers. Pay close attention, because some of these could prevent repairs that run anywhere from $300 to over $2,000. Trick 1. Freeing seized spark plug threads. Here's a situation that ends in disaster for thousands of drivers every year. You take your car in for a simple tune-up, and the mechanic tells you a spark plug is seized in the head. Suddenly, a $120 tune-up turns into a $600 to $900 repair because the plug snapped off in the threading and now needs to be extracted or retapped. What most mechanics won't tell you is that a small amount of WD-40 sprayed directly into the spark plug well, left to soak for 15 to 20 minutes before removal, can break the corrosion bond that causes that seizing. It penetrates the rust and carbon buildup that welds those plugs in place over time. This single trick, used during routine maintenance, can prevent that catastrophic snap and save you from a repair bill that most drivers never see coming. If you've never done your own plug changes, at least know this before you hand your keys over. Trick 2. Silencing squeaky brake dust shields. Most drivers panic the moment they hear any sound coming from near their brakes, and mechanics love that panic. A brake inspection alone can cost $40 to $80 before anything is even fixed. But here's something they don't advertise. A large percentage of brake area squeaking is not the pads at all. It's the thin metal dust shield behind the rotor vibrating against surrounding components. A careful targeted spray of WD-40 on the outside of that dust shield, keeping it completely away from the rotor and pads themselves, can eliminate that maddening squeak in under 30 seconds. This is not a brake repair. It's a vibration fix. And the difference between knowing that and not knowing it could be the difference between peace of mind and an unnecessary $250 brake service you didn't need. Trick 3. Unsticking a frozen door lock in winter is when dealerships and locksmiths make a quiet fortune on frozen door locks. A locksmith call alone runs $75 to $150 just to show up. And if a lock cylinder gets forced and breaks internally, you're looking at a $200 to $400 lock cylinder replacement plus labor. WD-40 sprayed directly into the lock keyhole displaces moisture and coats the internal tumblers with a thin, lubricating film. More importantly, doing this before winter hits every single year, as a preventive measure, keeps moisture from collecting inside the cylinder in the first place. This is one of those 30-second fall maintenance habits that prevents a freezing cold morning disaster that costs you real money. Trick 4. Restoring faded plastic trim without paying for detailing. Walk into any detailing shop and ask them to restore faded black exterior plastic trim. They'll quote you anywhere from $80 to $250 depending on how much trim your vehicle has. There are dedicated products sold for this exact purpose, some running $20 to $40 per bottle. Here's what a lot of detailers know and won't volunteer. A light coat of WD-40 wiped onto faded plastic trim and buffed in brings back a deep, dark finish that looks like new. It doesn't last forever. You'll reapply every few weeks. But as a fast, cheap restoration that costs pennies per application, nothing comes close. Before you spend $150 at a detail shop, spend 2 minutes with the can you already own. Trick 5. Cleaning throttle body buildup before it becomes a real problem. And this next one is where things get expensive if you ignore it long enough. Carbon and varnish buildup on a throttle body is one of the most common causes of rough idle, hesitation on acceleration, and poor fuel economy. A professional throttle body cleaning at a shop costs $80 to $150 on most vehicles. If the buildup gets severe enough and the throttle body itself gets damaged or the position sensor fails, you're now looking at a $300 to $600 repair or replacement. WD-40 sprayed carefully onto a lint-free cloth and used to wipe down an accessible throttle body can remove light deposits before they become a serious problem. This is not the same as a full carburetor or injector cleaning. Don't confuse them. But as a maintenance touch between services, it keeps airflow clean and sensors reading accurately. Catching buildup early is almost always the difference between a $6 fix and a $400 problem. Trick 6. Stopping windshield wiper chatter and streak. Most drivers replace their wiper blades the moment they start chattering or streaking. And wiper blade upsells are a real revenue stream at quick lube shops, where a set of premium blades can run $40 to $80 installed. But here's what they won't tell you. The majority of wiper chatter is not caused by worn rubber. It's caused by a buildup of road film, silicone residue from car washes, or dried wax on the windshield itself that the rubber blade drags across unevenly. Wiping down the edge of the wiper blade with WD-40 on a cloth, followed by a clean wipe with a dry rag, removes that contamination from the rubber and temporarily restores proper flex and contact. Do this before you spend $60 on new blades and see if the problem disappears first. It does. Trick 7. Loosening corroded battery terminal bolts. Here's one that every seasoned mechanic knows about, and most will quietly use themselves, but rarely mention to a customer waiting in the lobby. When battery terminals are corroded and the bolts are frozen, the instinct is to force them. That's how terminals crack, how battery posts snap, and how a $150 battery replacement turns into a $350 repair because a post broke off inside the casing. Before forcing anything, WD-40 soaked into the terminal connection and left for 10 minutes breaks down the white and blue corrosion buildup that acts like glue on those bolts. Combined with a proper terminal brush to clean the posts afterward, this approach protects both the battery and the cable ends from the kind of damage that forces an unnecessary replacement. A battery you could have kept for another 2 years shouldn't cost you $200 because someone forced a corroded bolt. Trick 8. Protecting wheel lug nut threads from seasonal corrosion. Have you ever heard of a shop charging to remove a seized lug nut? It happens more than most drivers realize. A single seized lug nut that requires extraction can cost $50 to $150 just for that one fastener. And in severe cases involving a snapped stud, the bill jumps to $200 to $400 per wheel because the stud has to be pressed out and replaced. A thin application of WD-40 on lug nut threads before reinstalling wheels, particularly in regions with road salt, creates a barrier that slows corrosion dramatically. This is not a replacement for proper anti-seize compound, which is the professional standard, but in a pinch, it is infinitely better than nothing. Drivers in northern states who ignore this simple step are the exact customers who get that expensive repair call every spring when shops start doing tire changeovers. Here's the bottom line. WD-40 is not a miracle cure, and it is not a substitute for proper repairs when they're genuinely needed. There are things it cannot do, and knowing the difference matters. It is not a long-term lubricant for precision components. It is not a brake cleaner, and it should never get anywhere near brake rotors, brake pads, clutch discs, or oxygen sensors. But used correctly and deliberately, This $6 can prevents the kind of small problems that quietly become $500 to $2,000 repair bills because a driver didn't catch them early enough. The automotive repair industry profits enormously from the gap between what you know and what they know. Closing that gap, even a little, puts money back in your pocket where it belongs. Would you risk a $1,500 repair just because you didn't know a $6 fix existed? Most people have been doing exactly that for years. If this video saved you money, or if you learned something you genuinely didn't know before, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it helps this channel reach more drivers who need this information. Drop a comment below and tell me which trick surprised you the most. And if you want to keep getting real, practical automotive knowledge that the industry hopes you never find, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss another video. More money-saving mechanic secrets are coming. Stay tuned!